have I'm so glad David's here, and Tara is here, and we have two participants here.
Okay, great.
Two participants. And we're struggling, of course, with the technology. Naturally, we have this up on the screen, but the screen has writing on it, and so I'm not sure we're going to be able to see it. It's very bright in this room.
Where's that coming from?
Okay.
It's printed on the opposite side of that screen. If you look on the opposite side of that screen, it's all printed
turned
on.
off the lights in here. That,
You'd be better off doing it on the wall. You do it on the wall over here.
Oh.
David, you want to try aiming it on the wall and see if we can see
Hit a
this?
switch. Let's see if that.
Okay. Okay.
I wonder if
A little better.
It's a little better.
could you turn the projector and would it be better on that wall?
Okay.
Okay, we're going to go and aim the projector towards a blank wall as opposed to the screen here, which has other writing on it. You can't really see anything.
In the meeting? Can you?
Yes.
I'm in the meeting. Do we have any virtual participants, or have they not been let into the meeting yet?
Matt said none yet.
None yet.
Okay, I just waited into a bigger screen. Okay.
Sorry. Have you been able to see my the presentation on the screen?
Yeah, we're going to greet people as they come in.
Hi all, this is Matt. I just wanted to confirm that you.
Okay, Matt,
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Matt, we can hear you. We're just trying to manage the echo on our side. You sound great. It's just when one of us is talking.
Are you muted? No, you're. Oh, you can hear me on you.
I'm on mute, so it's not coming to me.
It's not coming from there now. Here's Matt to talk.
Hey, Matt. There's muted.
Oh, is he muted?
Right there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't have the ability to show the screen and be unmuted at the same time.
All right, can you hear us though?
I can hear you, and you can see the presentation, right?
Yep. Yeah. We just saw it.
Okay, great. I'm gonna mute myself and go back to it then.
You see where the buttons are. You can control.
Where'd that go?
Right here.
Oh, done. Just want to test that you can hear me here, Alan, or somebody, if you could confirm you hear us.
I can hear you.
All right, excellent, thank you.
But David, I think you're muted now, aren't you?
I am, yeah, there's other activity going on at the Legion,
Okay,
so I will only unmute when I'm talking.
all right. Are we going to start in a minute here?
Yeah, it's five after. We have a couple people here, Sheila and another member of the Legion, and I don't know if anyone else is logged in online. But if you want to go ahead and start, I think we're good to go.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. I'm Alan Hyatt. I'm here tonight on behalf of Ingerman and the Housing Initiative Partnership. You'll hear a little bit more about them soon. Let me just start out, and you will be given the opportunity maybe more than once this evening, but I urge all of you who want to participate and want to be apprised of what's going on with respect to this proposed development to email at forestdrive@live or livewillows.com, or you can call Amanda Smith in my office at 410-260-6589, and she will make sure that you're on the list of interested individuals, and we'll supply you with whatever information you may need about the project that you're going to hear about. We're doing this because the Annapolis Code, the City of Annapolis Code, requires that a community meeting be convened prior to filing certain development applications. We had a meeting in June about this project, but there's been a couple of things that have changed. What we're doing now is we're including the American Legion property along with the property that the Willows will be located at as part of one project. This is known as a special mixed plan development. For those of you that did participate in June, you may recall, and I'll say it again for tonight, that the original site for the Willows consists of 3.455 acres. It fronts on Forest Drive, and the American Legion property is actually to the east of the, to the west of the main parcel where the apartments are proposed to be. But there's also a sliver of land along Newtown Drive that is owned by, or will be owned by the Willows project. It's not really part of any development, but just for purposes of explaining the site, and you'll see it on a site plan soon. So what happens after tonight, and we're going to explain to you generally what this project is all about, but what happens after tonight is a planned development application, a special mixed plan development application will be filed with the city's Department of Planning and Zoning. And then other departments and agencies within the city of Annapolis will evaluate that application for conformance to the requirements of the city code. Among other things, a traffic impact study will be required, and that's, I believe, underway already. And ultimately, the application will be considered by the City of Annapolis Planning Commission, where a public hearing will be conducted and it will then decide whether to approve or deny the application. At the public hearing, members of the public may speak in favor or against, and as I have stated, you should, if you're interested in the project, reach out to my office or the email that is shown on the screen so that you're apprised of what's going on here. Right now, the Planning Commission is holding meetings virtually. Like, I guess we have a mixed meeting tonight. I'm participating virtually, but the Planning Commission's meetings are all virtual at this time. Maybe by the time we get to public hearing, it will be live again, and they typically meet at the City Council chambers. So the reason that the American Legion is joining in this application is so that the application satisfies the requirements to be considered a special mixed plan development. And that has a certain definition in the code, and that will allow the project to proceed as proposed. The property in question that the project will be located on is zoned under both the R3 and the R2 classifications. And those zoning classifications allow residential use and certain mixed uses, which we're going to describe here. As mentioned, the primary property, I'll call it, consists of 3.455 acres. And then you add 2.2 acres, more or less, that is owned by the American Legion. And we're talking about a site of just about 5.6 acres. And just as a reminder, this, again, the overall site is to the west of what is proposed to be Providence Point. That's a long-running project, probably the longest-running project I've ever been involved in, at the corner of Spa and Forest, that is scheduled to be a senior community, continuing care retirement community. For children that will live at this property, at the Willows, they would attend Germantown Elementary School, Bates Middle School, and Annapolis High School. These schools are now open to city residents. The number of dwelling units proposed are 58 total units. Preliminarily, there would be 12 one-bedroom units, 28 two-bedroom units, and 18 three-bedroom units. There's also proposed a 1,500 square foot area of what we have called an incubator that adds to the mix of uses, and that is designed to allow for business development, internet access, and it's really flex space. Nothing has changed in terms of the design of the apartments and the incubator since our June meeting, other than the fact that the American Legion site, including its structure, will be connected to the Willows in a fashion that in part is yet to be decided. The Willows site will not have access to Forest Drive. Instead, there'll be a road that will connect to Newtown Drive, as you will see on the site plan. American Legion, however, will still have access to Forest Drive. Environmentally speaking, there are some man-made wetlands on the site near Forest Drive. There's a specimen tree planned to be retained along the Newtown Drive portion of the property, that strip that I referred to. And the portion of the site where the residences are to be built really has no significant environmental features. So this is not a case where trees come down, and the trees along Newtown Drive should remain intact. There will be additional landscaping and street trees along the road. So impact on environmental features, is negligible. And the site is not in the critical area, which is, within 1,000 feet of the Chesapeake Bay and its tributaries. So we're not in the critical area. We will have a description for you as to how stormwater is to be managed on the site. I'm going to, in a moment, introduce you to David Holden from Ingerman, and he's going to describe his company, and he will then introduce Mary Ann Dillon from the Housing Initiative Partnership for further explanation. We will then describe the architectural features of this site, the site plan. And then if there are any questions, for those of you that are at the American Legion now, we'll open them up to you. Again, if you have questions as we go forward, please call or email, and just know that we're in the early stages of this project. We may not have all the answers at this point in time, but our intention is to be transparent throughout the process. We want to be responsive to any questions. We want to work with the community. We are excited about bringing some residential opportunity, much needed residential opportunity to Annapolis, and we look forward to your support. And with that, I will introduce David Holden from Ingerman. David?
Hi, good evening. I'm hoping everyone can hear me. I'm at the American Legion meeting hall, and there's maybe a dozen participants here, which is great to see. One thing I want to just point out was that on the previous slide, and we'll show it again later, there's a website where you can get review information that's presented tonight if there's something you have a question about, and you can also submit questions. We originally created that website in May and have gotten a lot of activity. Almost exclusively, people are interested in getting on the list for one of the homes that we're building, and which is encouraging to see at this early stage. It kind of confirms what we were expecting about Annapolis, but there's just a lot of interest from folks for housing opportunities. Just a little bit about Ingerman, and like I said, this is on the website too, so you can read it later. We've been doing this building housing for almost 40 years. We work in Maryland, Delaware, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. We've worked in both the Eastern Shore and the Western Shore of Maryland, Baltimore City, Prince George's County, Charles County, Howard County, as well as half a dozen sites on the Eastern Shore. As part of like I said, the last 40 years we've been doing this. We've developed thousands of units that we continue to own and operate, and we also act as the general contractor. So we'll be actually doing the construction here. We'll be reaching out for local subs and labor as part of the project when we get to that stage. But that's something that we like to integrate into the project so that we can tap into local resources during the construction aspect of the project. And then we'll also be the property manager. As you can see, we've been building apartments now since 1994, and so we'll have property management staff that'll be here full time Monday through Friday, and then we'll have 24-hour and 7-day week backup through our regional personnel as well. So this would be part of our portfolio that's managed in this region, and it's a nice size property. We like to build this size. It's a nice infill. It doesn't, well, in our mind, doesn't create a dramatic impact in the local landscape. So that's kind of the quick overview of Ingerman. Personally, I've been with Ingerman for 23 years and continue to stay, not another 23, but as long as I can. So I think what we'll do now is let Mary Ann Dillon talk about our nonprofit partner, HIP, who we've worked with now for more than 10 years on several projects throughout Maryland. Thank you. Go ahead, Mary Ann.
Okay, thank you very much, David. This will mark the 5th project that we've worked on with David. I want to wait a second until he gets his sound off because we have an echo going on. So you have it. Okay, this should work now. Okay, so I'm Mary Ann Dillon. I'm the Executive Director of Housing Initiative Partnership. We're a Maryland-based nonprofit housing development corporation and counseling agency. This will mark our 5th project that we've done with the Ingerman Group, and we've had a very successful track record working with them. Our role is to provide resident services at the back end. Once the project is complete and occupied, we will hire a part-time resident services coordinator to work with all our residents to make sure that they have activities, services, that there'll be a lot of families at this property, that they have the services they need to succeed. And you'll be hearing a little bit later on from Stephanie Prestel, who's our deputy director and who heads up our resident services efforts. We've also been around for a long time. We're 32 years old. We have developed around 500 apartments so far. We specialize actually in single-family for-sale housing. We just recently bought our 100th home that we're now renovating and getting ready to sell. And our housing counseling side, we're one of the largest housing counseling agencies in Maryland, if not the largest. We have, in our history, counseled over 20,000 families, helping them either obtain home ownership, avoid foreclosure, stabilize their housing. We serve people all the way from the homeless
People in the
to
place can't hear you.
people who are here in person can't hear because I'm talking to this part. So
Right, so you
I,
have to talk a little louder.
okay, so I apologize to everybody. I'm Mary Ann Dillon. I'm the Executive Director of Housing Initiative Partnership. We're the nonprofit partner for the Ingerman Group. This will mark the 5th project that we have done with Ingerman, and we have a very successful track record working with them. Our role here is to provide resident services at the back end. After the project is complete and occupied, we will be hiring a part-time resident services coordinator who will work with all of our residents to make sure they have the services they need. Other activities, there will probably be a lot of families at this property. We want to make sure that we're serving those families. And I mentioned that we have been around for 32 years. We have counseled over 20,000 families in the state of Maryland, helping them get ready for home ownership, avoiding foreclosure, helping renters. We serve people all the way from the homeless up to people who are buying their homes and stabilizing their homes. So we have a very long and successful history. We also are partners on a project that's just up the road from this project, and that's the picture that you see in front of you here. This is Town Courts. This is 42 units of family housing that should be construction should be complete in about another month, and we will have families moving into this property. So we're very excited about that, and this would mark our 2nd project in Annapolis, this time in partnership with the Ingerman Group. So I think that's it for me, David, and I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you. So the next slide, this is David. I'm going to continue. The next slide is a little bit about the development, and we have Judy Miller from Architecture by Design also on the call with us, and I'll let her talk a little bit more about the specifics, but we've just highlighted, I won't read every one of them, but highlighted what you'll see in the images and what's been mentioned, that it's 58 apartments with some features, some exterior features for the residents. We've set some units aside for people with disabilities, and the units will include a lot of features and amenities, washer dryers, storage areas, as well as just kind of the typical apartment amenities and features that you'd expect. Maybe if we go, Matt, to the next slide, and Judy can give us a little description about the concept.
Okay, let me see here. I'll turn my camera on so you can see me all drenched from today. But good morning or good afternoon. This is I'm Judy Miller. I'm with Architecture by Design, and this slide that David is up on the screen is, an image of how we imagine these buildings being designed. So they're not, 100% colonial. They're not 100% contemporary. They're kind of what we would call a more transitional. So they kind of blend a lot of the nice features that you'll see in the area that are very prominent in the area. We have some outdoor balconies on, off of the units. Nice trim around the windows, Energy Star windows, very durable products, which is always nice to have in a community so they stay looking nice for years to come. Very low maintenance, and a lot of open space. Even though this is a rather snug site, there's a nice green area that we've allotted for some planting and playground area. It's going to be a wonderful project. You enter into a covered area, so you're sheltered from the weather, and come into units that are, I'd say, as good or better than any market rate unit in the market right now. I don't know what else you want me to touch on, David.
I think that's fine. And like Judy said, we're still, this is conceptual. This is the mass that we like. We think Judy looked at a lot of other architecture in the surrounding area to kind of come up with this design, which she thinks is compatible. The color selections haven't been made yet, and some of the other features, but this just general idea of the look that we'll be working towards. But that's about it. We've worked with Judy for over 10 years now, and Judy is based in Ellicott City and is probably one of the most prolific architects for multifamily housing in Maryland. So we love working with her, and she has an amazing portfolio.
Thank you, David. And we've also worked with HIP on many projects as well. So we've all worked together collectively on some very successful projects.
Thank you. So I guess we could go to the site plan. Matt and Terry Schumann with Bay Engineering could just kind of walk us through the highlights.
Sure. Everyone can hear me, right? Yes. You can hear me? Yeah, okay. So my name is Terry Schumann. I'm a principal with Bay Engineering Incorporated. We're a civil engineering and engineering firm here in Annapolis, Maryland. Worked a lot in the city over the years, and very familiar with this project and this site. So this is I guess first thing is this is very, very close to what we presented back at the last community meeting, and as Alan indicated, and Alan pretty much took probably most of my show away, so I'll try to be not repetitive of what he said, but there's a couple things I do want to point out. So, the difference from this slide, basically from the last time we presented, is again we added the Legion for zoning purposes as a special mixed business district. So you can see our 3 units. The gray is the parking areas and the drive aisles. The colored buildings, you can see the 3 proposed buildings. We are fronted on the north is top of the page. So we're fronted on Forest Drive, and we're fronted to the west with Newtown Drive. And as indicated before, we will not access Forest Drive. We will access off of Newtown Drive. And basically, future Skipper's Lane will connect to the Skipper's Lane to the west that goes back behind the CVS. And then in the future to the, hopefully the Providence Point project, as it gets developed, will extend that further out to Spa Road. And again, 58 units. We have 111 parking spaces. The project will be served by public water and sewer. And I know Alan touched on stormwater. So stormwater is a big thing in the city, and we will comply with all the city and state requirements as far as stormwater goes. We'll be using rain gardens, microbiome areas, potentially some permeable pavement in the parking areas. The site generally drains toward Forest Drive, but the rear part does butts against Riders Glen there, and there is a little wetland area over there that we will have to drain out and drain over to Newtown Drive and that storm drain system. So we will comply with all the city and state requirements as far as stormwater goes. And I didn't say it before, but the darker green is the existing woods line, and that will basically predominantly stay the way it is. Our site is pretty well cleared with some perimeter trees, and we won't be clearing any forest really for this project. and the darker circles all around, those are the shade trees and the landscape trees and the street trees along Skipper's Lane. We'll have an extensive landscape plan that meets the city requirements, and that's pretty much it. I'm excited to work on this project, and I'm excited to be part of the design team. I think it's a good project, much needed project in the city, and glad to be working on it.
Thank you, Gary.
Yeah, and I guess for this slide, yeah, Skipper's Lane, this is just something we wanted to point out again, reiterate it again. We will not, where our access will be off of Skipper Lane Extended and not off of Forest Drive. And we will design that at the city's request to accommodate, further extension to the east through Providence Point. So, thank you.
Thanks. Matt, could you go back to the site plan for a sec, please? Thank you. If you're looking at the plan that's up there on the left side, you see the American Legion's existing building, and then you see the green strip that goes along Newtown Drive. That's part of our property, and what we're talking with the Legion about is transferring that to them, and they'll make it incorporated into the Legion, and they're discussing plans for making that an active open space area with some community gardens and other programming to kind of enhance the Legion's program. That's Gunny Curtis is working on that. I don't want to speak for him; he couldn't be here tonight, but that's part of this mixed use plan allows the Legion to expand over to Newtown and improve that area, and also has the potential for the Legion then to have access off the new Skipper's Lane, so it's an alternative to Forest Drive as well. So just wanted to mention that before we moved on.
Yeah, and David, maybe I'll just go back to that slide. Yeah, I just wanted to add I didn't say it before, but that rectangle area in the middle of those three buildings, that's an outdoor amenity space with a playground and garden plots for the residences. So we do have an amenity open green space there for the
right.
For the residents' use. So.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
We have yeah, to the site plan. Yeah, we have a question from someone here. It's here at the Legion. If you could you tell us your name?
Loretta Jones, I'm the second vice chair. And okay, you're saying that you guys are turning this side of the property over to us. Okay, what about the property and the fact that you're turning into Skipper's Lane that belongs to Legion too? So what are you doing? So what are you trading?
We're asking the Legion to let us have access along Skipper's Lane. Yeah, that's been the discussions we've had since the city doesn't want us accessing off of Forest Drive.
So you're gonna have access. That's what I'm at. Okay, my question basically is that you're asking for access off of Skipper's Lane. You're asking the Legion to give access for Skipper's Lane.
Yes.
So is it a trade for lane? This is what I'm trying to figure out.
Well, just for access. We're not asking for the land, just for an easement across the property.
I do have a question also.
If you, okay, just speak up.
Oh, well, the yellow boundary, is that currently the American Legion boundary, and the dark green is your property or potentially your property? All this is ours.
David, if you can't explain, it's the two lines that go vertical.
Yeah, we're working with this. The image that's on the wall here. That's the Legion property.
Okay, so the yellow line is the property tell me what the yellow line represents. The yellow property represents.
I don't see the yellow.
Well, it's orange is the building, and then
this is going up
around the building. Yeah, that's just
this.
Yes.
I don't know what
that color just represents grassed areas. road.
that's the grassy area.
Okay. So that doesn't delineate
No,
boundaries of any
right.
sort.
No, it's basically a rectangle. The Legion's a rectangle.
So it goes all the way out. It extends, like I said, it extends all the way. So the Legion property goes
from
to
here
the,
all the way here
okay.
and all the way across and out the fourth.
And is the Legion the yellow building?
This is the Legion right here.
Yes.
This is the Legion. So basically, this is the memorial. This is the front part, the grassy area in the front. This is the grass around the Legion. It all extends out to here. This property doesn't belong to us, but all of this belongs to us.
And then this long strip that goes from the.
That belongs to them.
No, this long strip that goes from Forest Drive all the way back, is that what they're calling Skipper's Drive?
This one right here, yes, they're calling Skipper's Drive, but this portion of Skipper's Drive belongs to them.
It's on the Legion's property, right?
And that's from Newtown Drive over to
Yeah, ours goes down to the bottom yellow line where they got it. And then Newtown, where the new.
Just want to be clear with the boundaries.
Probably a good way to describe it is that Newtown Drive is an existing road and Skipper's Lane is an existing city road. Skipper's Lane really stops at Newtown Drive, and because the city requested, I think anybody who lives here knows for obvious reasons, they prefer to not have another curb cut on Forest Drive. So they asked this to be designed to have access, if possible, in the rear via what we call an extension of Skipper's Lane, which theoretically for our project would be a private road, because if at some point in the future Providence Point happens, they're going to want to extend Skipper's Lane, but without an extension beyond the Willows, there really wouldn't be anywhere for anybody to go except to cross Skipper's Lane and Newtown Drive and either be going to the Legion or to the Willows.
Well, I think for clarification purposes, Forest Drive is the county road. And it is the county that has told us that there is no entrance from Forest Drive to this property. So it's not the city's decision. It's the county road, and they make that decision. We've had this discussion many times in the past, that Skipper Lane is a paper road that has been on the city.
I think David muted his computer.
We have
Sorry. Yeah,
an agreement proposed between the Legion and us that, I would call it as a private business deal between the Legion and this developer that, it's right, we're discussing it, it's in the works, and as long as we have it, it's not necessarily, members of the Legion will get to know what the agreement is, but it's not something we should be talking about in a public meeting because it's really just between the developer of the Willows and the Legion.
Right, and it's conceptual right now. So I don't know if anybody else is online, but if we'll happy to talk more after. But if we could, we're almost done with the presentation. If we could, if I think Alan, if you could take us through the. I guess Stephanie's going to talk next, and then we're done.
Okay.
All right. So my name is Stephanie Prestel, and I'm the Deputy Director with Housing Initiative Partnership. And one of my roles is to oversee our resident services program. And as Marianne said, with our partnership with developers like Ingerman, we provide resident services to the residents of the community. And so we'll be hiring a part-time resident services coordinator to provide a wide range of programs and services because we believe housing is more than housing. It's truly a community. What's exciting about this project is there's also 1,500 square feet of community space, and it's flex space. It will have the ability to have community gatherings. It will have the management office. It'll have the social service office. There'll be an exercise room, but there'll also be space where we can partner with other programs for a variety of different things. One area that we're pursuing is to have a business incubator and an entrepreneurship training program that's available to our residents as well as to others of the public. And right now we're having conversations with Project Operation and the Anne Arundel Workforce Development Corporation as two potential partners for some collaborative programming we can do in this space. So we're very excited about those community partnerships. And all of this will happen once the building is developed and leased up, then that resident service coordinator will come on board. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to David to open it up for additional questions.
Well, Alan, is there anything else we need to cover as part of the community meeting requirements?
Nope, we went down the checklist, and as I say, it's a preliminary type of a meeting, just an introduction to the community, and there'll be a lot more opportunity for community participation going forward, but this is just the first step that we're required to do under the code.
Okay, so does anybody that's not at the Legion have questions? And then if not, then we can log off and just do it live here without, because I'm not sure everybody's hearing and it's a little hard to communicate. So is there anybody not at the Legion that's on the Zoom, the Teams call that has questions?
David, I have a question for Alan.
Okay. Yes. Shanika, Alan.
Hi, Shanika. How you doing?
I'm well, Alan. Thank you. I hope you can hear me.
I can.
Outstanding. I'm just out of curiosity. I know that the zoning was put together for the mixed-use application, including the American Legion. Would it in any way, does it in any way impact the Legion's development rights in the future? If they wanted to use the property for residential development, would it take away any of their density for the property? Or what, if any, impact does it have for any future uses of the Legion's lot?
It does not impact the Legion in terms of its future growth. The density is calculated strictly on the site that Ingerman will own. And so if the Legion wants to expand either the current facility or modify the property so it becomes residentially developed, it will have its own density calculations, standing independent of this Ingerman site.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
May I follow up, Alan? Similar question on zoning. Two zones, R2 and R3. Is there going to be a need to create one zoning classification for the development?
No, we can go forward with this planned development with both zoning districts because of the language in the code for special mixed plan developments that allows for residential density at a certain zoning level, regardless of the fact that it's R2 and R3. So that's in part why we're going down this path.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
So I don't see, is there anyone else on the Teams call has a question? If not, I just see one number I don't recognize.
I think that might be the number here for the projector.
Oh.
I'm not sure, but I think it might be.
Let's see. Okay. All right. So, Alan, we'll stay here and continue to talk at the Legion, but if there's not anything else, do you want to just sign us off?
They're not going to be able to view, if there's any question on the PowerPoint, they're not going to be able to view it.
I have it on my computer too. And I have it on my screen.
Right. All right. Well, I thank everybody for participating. As I say, I don't want to be redundant, but it's early in the game. I'm sure we'll have much more dialogue going forward. We appreciate any support you can give us. as Sheila and Shanika knows, not easy going through the city process. So any support you can provide, because I think this is a much needed project. We'll be glad to accept it, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Thank
All right.
everybody.
Thank you and good night.
Good night. Thank you.